Welcome back, guys, to another video. This video is going to be addressing the newest installment to the Colorado football team, Warren Sapp. I know it's not news. I know it was news as of, I probably think, April 2nd or April 3rd. We are maybe April 2nd, I think, when the news came out. But Warren Sapp joins Deion Sanders at Colorado. And this is a report that's being brought forth by Bleacher Report. I'm going to read the article quickly, and I'm going to give you guys my opinions on it and tell you guys how I feel about the new hire. It says here that Hall of Fame defensive tackle Warren Sapp officially joined Deion Sanders' staff at Colorado as a senior quality control analyst. Okay, so he's a senior quality control analyst. Sanders introduced Sapp to the team recently, a moment that was captured by the pregame show around the 6-minute mark. So they have a show on YouTube, and it's called the pregame show, and I'm not going to watch that, but I'm going to just continue to read the article. It says Sapp has been expected to join the Colorado staff for months. Now, what kind of jumps out to me is that he's a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, Warren Sapp. He's joining the team at Colorado as a senior quality control analyst. So he's not going to be a defensive tackle coach, because that's the position he played in the NFL. That's what got him his gold jacket. But let me continue to read on. Maybe that's his title, and maybe perhaps, coach can still use him to help coach up the defensive line, because many jobs do that. A lot of times when there's not a position available, they'll have to just give him a job, give him a title. But I'm sure he'll still have access to the football team in terms of the defensive side of the ball. I'm sure he's going to be able to work with those defensive linemen, without a doubt. There's no way you're going to have a guy with that, with that kind of resume on your campus as a coach, in terms of his past football resume, and not utilize his knowledge to put forth to help your team win. I don't see that happening. So that quality control analyst, it kind of jumped out to me when I initially read it. I was going to continue reading, but I stopped and went back to that. So that's just something you guys have to consider. He's not being brought there as, quote unquote, titled as the defensive line coach. He's not being, given that title. He's being given the title of a quality control analyst. So that lets me believe that that's just something that they have to do to get him in, because I don't think they want him. I don't know. I'm going to have to continue to read and do some more research, but I don't feel like they brought him there for that, for quality control. Maybe quality control also means, it's AKA also known as defensive line coach. Maybe that's a code name to get around the HR process. There's a reason why they went with that title, because I'm kind of shocked at why they went with that title. And if you guys have a clue as to why they went with that title, you can leave a comment below and let me know. So I'm going to continue reading on here. It says Sapp has been expected to join the Colorado staff for months. The 7-time Pro Bowler spent time with the Buffaloes last season and returned to school to finish his college degree so he could be hired to the staff. So okay, that gives me a little bit of insight. So that's what took time. He had to get his degree, because you have to have a degree to be a coach. He did not get his degree because he left Miami early, University of Miami early. So okay, so even the offensive linemen, they glean from him. Even the offensive linemen, they glean from him too, because he's so thought-provoking that he can tell them, don't let the defensive lineman get you at that point or this point. I think he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's hilarious, man. Sanders told the Rich Eisen show of Sapp last December. So this, okay, they're referencing what Deion was talking about on the Rich Eisen show. This was in December of last year, 2023, and pretty much is what I said. Like, you don't bring a guy into the building just to be a quality control guy. You can get some college graduate for that. You don't get a professional NFL Hall of Fame player, Super Bowl champion, to just come on your team to be quality control. No. So, and then you can see his impact, because he has a way with words. He's just as charismatic as Deion Sanders is, in his own unique way. So I'm sure he's going to be able to gravitate towards the offensive lineman, and he's also going to be able to gravitate toward the defensive lineman as well. He can give them insight because he played defense. He can tell the offense what to look for, and he can also talk to the defensive lineman, which is a no-brainer. Because that's the actual position that he played. So yeah. So Sapp has not coached at any level since his NFL retirement after 2007 season. Now that's something that's a great concern to me. He's a great name. It doesn't mean that he can't coach, because there are a lot of people who go out there for jobs, and the boss of the job would say, well, we didn't hire you because you don't have experience. And the comeback to that is, well, how the hell am I going to get experience if you don't hire me? But a lot of people don't want you to get the experience that you need on their watch. They want you to get it elsewhere, and then they hire you once they feel like you've developed yourself to be, formidable enough or ready for the job that they want you to have at their place, at their place of employment. But I think that Deion Sanders is breaking the mold in many ways. He's not going the traditional approach. He's not taking the old-fashioned, prosaic approach. He's going to be who he is. And he doesn't have to follow any metric. He's going to follow his own metric. And that's just something that we have to just get over and respect. If you ask me whether I like it or hate it, it's not a like or a hate thing. It's just when I see a man, Coach Prime, that comes into the college realm of football, the Power 5 conferences, and tells himself that I want to dominate, I want to win national championships, I want to do this, I want to do that. I would think that when you initially start, you get experience, coaches that know what the hell they're doing. Not to say that Sapp doesn't know what he's doing, because we don't know yet, is yet to be seen. But he's definitely going to have influence on the defensive line. He definitely is going to have influence, without a shadow of a doubt. He's not brought there to be quality control, whatever the hell that means. But my only pushback with that is that he's retired. He retired almost 20 years ago. We're talking about what 17 years ago? No, 2007, 2017. Yeah. He retired in 2007, so 2017 would make 10 years. 2027 would make 20 years. We're in 2000, so 17 years ago. He retired, and he hasn't coached. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have knowledge. That doesn't mean he can't coach. So I want you guys to understand. I'm not saying that he can't, but there's one thing to have the knowledge of the game, and there's one thing to actually put it into practice. There's one thing to have your praxis, your theory of what you feel a defensive line is supposed to look like. It's one thing in theory to get the players that you need to fit the type of aggression that you need on the defensive line of the ball, but it's one thing to actually put it into practice when the game actually starts, making adjustments, understanding player personnel and all that stuff. But I guess he's going to have to learn on the job. But I believe that Coach Prime believes in him. I don't believe Coach Prime would have put him on the staff just to put him on the staff. And we just have to trust in Coach Prime and Coach Prime's assessment of talent. So Sapp has not coached at any level since his NFL retirement after the 2007 season. He will likely spend most of his time working with linemen, which is a no-brainer because he played the defensive line. His status as a quality control coach means he will not count toward the maximum of 10 coaches on the sidelines allowed by the NCAA. That's what I was looking for. So it makes sense. They just had to change his title, right? So he's still going to be on the sideline, but NCAA says that you can only have 10 coaches. So if he was named a defensive line coach, he would be named an 11th coach, which would put Colorado football team in violation of that protocol. So they had to change it to quality control, whatever BS, to actually permit and allow him to be on the sideline to coach up the defensive line. So that's going to be great. Okay, so that explains my concern earlier. That's why it's good to read and continue reading, right? So Sanders is heading into his second season at Colorado, and I remember I made a video about this, and I told you guys that his second season is a redshirt first season. Just like you have redshirt freshmen that are truly like sophomores on paper, but they're freshmen on the field. I believe we have to give Coach Prime a bit of a pass. I'm going to tell you why. His first season, you're going to understand he is who he is. He's not going to admit this publicly, but I'm sure if he can go back, he would probably do certain things differently. The way he started the press conference about bringing in his Louis luggage, I believe if he had a chance to do it over, he wouldn't do it that way. Number two, I believe that he saw the results of having an imbalanced offense, of what that can do to your son, first of all, because even though his son is the quarterback, it's his son first. Then it's his quarterback second. Your son got his back nearly broken and fractured, which is why he was unable to walk. Your son, in multiple games at halftime, and sometimes during the game in the second half, most likely like the end of third quarters, would have to go back to the locker room to get painkiller injections. Painkiller injections are not good. Number one, they're not good for your diaphragm. Number one, they're not good for your breathing. They're not good for your respiratory system. But of course, you have to take large doses of it. Number two, painkillers can become addictive. Number three, the fact that he's taking painkillers, injections, not the pill, injections, something that'll hit the nervous system quicker. The fact that he's taking those and then returning back in the game to take more hits, I think that Coach Prime, looking back, has learned from those things. You don't want to put your son first in harm's way, your quarterback second in harm's way. Unfortunately for Coach Prime, your quarterback is your son, and he's your quarterback. So you have to be extra careful. Having a balanced offense will protect your son. I don't give a damn if you're not gaining any yards with the run. I don't give a damn how poor your offensive line is, because your offensive linemen being poor, according to you, Coach Prime, because you threw all of them under the bus, according to you, it didn't stop you from throwing the damn ball. And all the sacks that your son took, it didn't stop you from throwing the ball. So the idea that the offensive line is horrible, but I'm going to continue to pass, that logic doesn't make sense. The rationale behind that is completely illogical in my brain. I mean, tell me if I'm missing this here. Your offensive line is terrible, but you're continuing to throw the ball, exposing your son to more blows. Wouldn't the counter action to that be to run the ball more to protect your son? Let the running back take the hits versus the quarterback taking the hits. And then maybe you can do more play action. And again, if you look at the statistics, I've said this before, look at my past videos. The yards per run was average. It wasn't below average as people are making it out to be. I'm talking about just from the running backs alone. I'm not including Shador's runs. They average about almost 4 yards, almost 4 yards a carry. About 3 point, I forgot the yardage that I said, which is not high, but it's not as bad as people say it is. But if you committed to it, it probably would be more. And if you had the right running back in there, instead of running the ball down the middle with the little skinny guy, what was his name? The guy who I think should be in the slot, forgot his name now. But I believe McCaskill and Hankerson and Henderson, those guys should have been the bell cow backs. Not